We should probably start by talking about Mason Greenwood, because it's one of those sports stories which has left the sports pages and everyone is talking about. He released a statement yesterday to say he's leaving Manchester United. They'd sort of both agreed that, while both agreeing he hadn't broken the law, but may have made mistakes.
It's a tricky one. The statements themselves were fascinating. We actually had conversations down on the Times editing floor with the lawyers about the statement that Manchester United had put out and all the legal complexities that come with it. United are obviously very keen to be seen to do right by a player that they have had under their wings since he was 6 or 7 years old. So the duty of care aspect here with Manchester United is a big one. They obviously, the reports suggest, had been considering bringing him back into the fold. And then a number of protest groups and fans made their views quite clear. And that backlash to those reports had kind of come out in the last week or so. So this decision is one that, as Paul Hurst outlined in the Times today, has been going back and forth. Richard Arnold, Manchester United chief executive, has been overseeing this and dealing with it. And this is kind of the outcome now that we've been waiting for a long time. And it's been decided that it'll move on.
So we should explain, he was charged with rape, controlling coercive behaviour and assault, but those charges were dropped in February. So this saga's been playing out for a long time. What will happen next? Because clearly Man United saying, we don't really want one in our books anymore, creates a stigma around him. Are clubs lining up to show interest in taking him on? Yeah,
this is the big question now. I mean, obviously, Mason Greenwood, putting aside all the incidents and things off the field, is an incredibly talented footballer. Earns £100,000 a week at Manchester United, would widely be considered as future. You know, yesterday we talked about Chelsea paying £100 million and things. If Mason Greenwood were a star playing football, and in a couple of years he himself could be a £100 million player. Again, some United sources described him as such. So it's a fascinating one because, as you say, a lot of clubs won't want to touch him, particularly in this country. So there's some suggestions that clubs in Europe and in Saudi Arabia, where of course there's lots of money being spent at the moment,
and probably less concern about this sort of thing.
Potentially a little less concern and just a bit, divorced and separated from the news agenda and the reaction to it. The problem with that then comes that, as I mentioned in the previous question, that duty of care aspect. This is a guy who's still very young. He's got a young family. He's only really, his world has only ever really evolved around Manchester and Manchester United. United feel that potentially there is a duty of care aspect if they were to allow him to leave or move away into Europe. That's the problem then, that he's not rehabilitating himself, if you like, into society after this incident. So it's a tricky one. It'll be fascinating to see what happens. The suggestion also is that Manchester United potentially will allow him to leave regardless. There won't be fees attached to this, so clubs won't have to pay lots and lots of money for him.